to the Trinity Force Podcast. Yo, it's that Triforce cast beaming straight to your home. Grab a beer so we know Pone ain't drinking alone. Send an email, a quick tweet, just pick up the phone. Leave a message, hit the beep if you're a creep, watch your tone. Discuss the meta game, patch notes, whatever helps your stats most. Obi-Pone Kenobi is your last hope to snatch gold. So grab your headphones and join in the fun. We'll try and force in some jokes and some cringeworthy puns. Yo, we can make it together, people. Trinity Force Podcast. These boys are second to none. Now that's the end of the intro. It's time we begun.
Hey guys, welcome to the Trinity Force Podcast. It did something weird on this time again, but we'll make it work. I actually have to make this little scene picture go invisible. So there we go. Trinity Force Podcast, episode 515 is in your ears. If you guys listened last week, you listened to the Patreon episode that came out. We only had one episode last week because for the second time in 500-something episodes, we lost an episode.
That's my bad. I'm just gonna be upfront about it. I totally screwed up. Forgot to upload my audio. Accidentally deleted it, and then the project was corrupted when I went to try and export it again. So that was bad news.
Yeah, well, they'll be all right. They'll live. They only got one podcast last week, and maybe this week they'll get two.
I know, but I feel bad.
Do you?
Yeah,
you have enough on your plate that I don't know if you really should feel bad right now.
Well, yeah, I'm impressed you're here, Dom. Come on.
I appreciate
commitment to the cause
solution there.
Well,
you can thank the weather for me joining today, because we have stuff that we needed to take care of, but it's basically like freezing rain or blizzard-like conditions. I don't know how exactly you want to describe it, but there's a pretty bad snowstorm going, and so it depends on where you are in Minnesota. You're gonna feel differently about it, but yeah, it's bad enough out there that Laura and I were both just like, yeah, fuck it, nope, there's nothing important enough that we really need to leave the house and deal with all this bullshit.
I mean, you could have my weather. It's 66 and sunny. Tomorrow,
yeah, I was about to say,
it'll be 70 and sunny.
I think it's 60s all week here.
I hate you both.
Well, you say this now. You just wait until the summer when we get our blistering southern heat come about August. And
I mean, it gets pretty blistering here too, like and really humid. You know, it's not. We're not necessarily out of the weeds just because I'm further north here. It gets pretty bad too.
I mean, Texas gets real hot, but at least it's like a dry heat, so it's not
That's
too
humid
terrible.
here a lot of time.
Louisiana straight humid. Get all that stuff from the Gulf coming right up here.
You'll probably have a worse summer, but
it's gonna be great. So we're here, episode 515, League of Legends podcast. Let's talk about some of that, shall we? In 8.4 last week, or 2 weeks ago, the patch came out and the AP itemization hit. We've had a lot of time to play on the patch and play with the new itemization changes, and we've also seen the flux and change with the win rates based on the champions that are coming around and using some of these new AP items. And it looks like things have kind of leveled out at this point where people they're going the Lost Chapter, but instead of like Hextech or Ludens, a lot of them are going right in Archangel's staff now.
Yeah, Archangels is super popular. It's what I thought it would be the least popular of the three, but I think the fact that you can get tiers so cheap, so it's just a nice early efficient back, that I think it's really come into play. And the stats you get from Archangels are a lot better now. Really good active. And once you have it stacked up, I think it gives more AP overall than the other ones.
I mean, that's also pushing a power spike a little bit, if you really think about it.
Like delaying your own power spike?
Kinda. I mean, like it kind of requires a bit of stacking in order for it to really feel like it's come online or anything like that. And so isn't that hurting early game power, or is there enough just sort of built into abilities that it doesn't matter?
I mean, it is. Just the fact that Lost Chapter is more expensive is also hurting early game on most mages. I think just being able to back and get the tier, and then you'll have mana flow, and I've been going precision for presence of mind. It really lets you stay in lane with the mana. Ludens definitely is going to be, once you complete Ludens, it's going to be better before it'll come online earlier than a fully stacked Archangel staff. But once you get Archangels, I think it's a better active overall. But it is delaying it. But I think just the build path is better where a lot of people are going that. And one problem I have with Ludens is that having to buy a blasting wand feels really bad, because like on old Morello, you could go everything built out of an amp tone. So you never had to get like a full 850 before you backed, which I mean, you did a lot, but if you get forced back with and have to, you can't really buy anything if you already have an amp tone and you just have to get the blast wand. It feels bad.
Right.
I don't like the build path for Ludens nearly as much as Archangels.
It's kind of going what I was complaining about, I don't know, a week or so ago, where I felt like I didn't like the build path. I don't like just two needlessly large rods. And I know later in the game it's easier to walk back and, you know, buy 1250 items, but I always feel like I've never liked items that are just like, here's two flat items. To me, it looks like it's lazy item design, and that's kind of what Riot's been doing with you know, they've been trying to get away from that with a lot of items.
I like the build path for Death Cap a lot more because you're gonna have to go with the old Death Cap. Let's say you're gonna have to get 1250 at one point, 850 at one point, and then like 1750 or something like that. So I'd rather go 1250, 1250, 1100.
No, I understand that. I like the build path better now, right? The build path is better than it was previously, where it was those three items starting at 450 and then working your way up. I'm just saying that I kind of wish that item they would have looked at that, and we had this conversation where there's some kind of step item in between it, right? You get a beanie and then you turn the beanie into a cap or whatever, kind of like Haunting Guys, you know, turns into Leander's Torment. You get the small mask into the different mask. Like I've always liked those items. The same thing goes back to like Frozen Mallet. I always had a problem with that item, you know, and up until, well, I still do, but up until recently, and things like that. They just have really if you have to buy 3 components to get to the one big component, it feels really shitty. And even iEdge right now doesn't feel good to buy, right? Because no one ever wants to sit on a cloak, but it's been that way for the entirety of the entire time the game's been out. So you buy your pickaxe, you buy your BF sword, and you just hope you can combine them at some point.
That's a good point. iEdge is the only one of the oh, never mind. No, they pretty much all require 3 items on the AD side.
Well, I mean, it's pretty much just Essence Reaver or iEdge, right?
I know, but even Guardian Angel and Bloodthirster both build out a BF sword, and they all still cost you, or they all still take 3 item slots.
Right, but like things like Essence Reaver, you get 10% cooldown reduction through that. You get some AD and cooldown reduction because you're buying Caulfield's Warhammer. And of course, you have to build your BF sword on top of it. But at least you get something as a step in there. You have, like right now, if you're going to rushing BF sword, you're rushing a pickaxe. And all you're getting is flat AD. It's kind of nice to have a mixed mash, you know, mix stats than it is to just get flat AD with nothing else. Like I'd like maybe a little AD and a little attack speed. That'd be nice.
Yeah, but I mean, I think with Rabadons and with Infinity Edge, the completed item, the passive it gives you, is why they don't want to give you something in between. Because then it would be almost too strong, because the 40% AP and then the 50% increased crit is such a big power spike that if you're...
25%.
Is it 25%?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what I said, right?
50.
But I think that the finished item gives such a big power spike that it's worth... I don't think they need to have a stepping stone to the completed one.
In some respects, I wonder if Riot really has sort of 2 different theories on how itemization should work, kind of competing with each other right now. There's the attitude that Adam has, where, you know, items should have stepping points along the way, and generally you should feel good about getting those hitting those stepping points. And then the other one would be kind of what they were really doing in season 1 and 2, especially, is that like items should be giving you windows of power, and you can sort of sacrifice a later power opportunity by going for an item that is, you know, cheaper or really like effective the moment you get it and everything, but it's going to be eclipsed by something else if your opponent, you know, decides to complete that. Bilgewater Cutlass and Haunting Guys previously didn't build into anything. You know, again, we're talking like season 2, maybe season 3, but like that's when we're talking right here and everything.
But the Brutalizer as well.
Yeah, you were. If you got those items, it was because you were just kind of hedging on early power for the way that you were playing the game, and using that to create that was your window of power, and you were trying to use that to sort of get ahead on objectives or on kills or everything else that was going on in the game. And they've kind of gotten away from that a little bit, just because, you know, hey, all those items I listed now build into something else, meaningfully build. But that idea still does exist. You know, there are going to be some items that you want to get, and you want to get them earlier because they give you a pretty key power spike when, especially like when you might need it. You know, the Lost Chapter, I guess, is really the good one because there are so many champions that just sort of lean on the passive that thing is giving you. But it does feel like people don't want to build items if every component doesn't feel good.
Yeah, that's why Luden's build because like if you go GLP, you get the gun, it's the revolver passive with the enhanced auto, and then you obviously get the tier stacking, which is like gonna pay off later on. But Luden's, it just blasts you on. You're like, nah, full AP doesn't really feel good to build or buy.
And Luden's the unique, the echo effect is really not like that good for how long or for like how weak you feel holding on to the other items and everything. Like echo is not that good. Yeah, it's nice. It's a little bit of extra damage and everything, but you know, it's not. It's very, very different from static shiv, which like really is a huge power spike for AD carries in a lot of cases, and can totally take out minion waves and that type of stuff. Well, most APs are already like taking up minion waves.
Yeah,
they don't really need. Yeah.
Well, I think it might be a community. The way the community looks at the items is, and I fall the trap of this too, because I think the first time I saw these, I was like, Luden's Echoes, you know, we're going to be building into that all the time. But like, I agree with you, Dom, in this fact that Luden's Echo, the active or the active, not active part of the passive part of it, whatever, the part that procs, it never really feels amazing to have. Like, it's just a little extra damage there if you're doing through a combo. But other than that, you know, you're just kind of like, hey, I've got extra, you know, cooldown reduction and mana and ability power now, and that little proc does, you know, it explodes and doesn't even take out a wave, right? Unlike, like you said, static shiv. So I'm not saying they need to buff or change the item. I just understand that why people would be gravitating toward Archangel Staff rather than getting Luden's, because Luden's just never has that that punch or that you need. It's, you know, to rush it, of course.
I mean, I feel like if you're going against, say, well, it doesn't matter the matchup. If you have Ludens, the person has Archangels, you're going to be stronger until their Seraphs is complete, pretty much. But the window isn't that, because most people can stack Seraphs pretty quickly out of mid lane. So like the window where Ludens is a better item isn't really big enough where I feel like it's worth going. It depends on the champion, really, but in general, I think Seraphs is pretty good right now.
Is it 5 to 7 minutes roughly to stack a decent or a good or really good stack to get to Seraphs?
I've been playing a lot of Swain, and he has a pretty effective way of stacking with his Q, and I feel like I'm normally finishing it between like 15 and 18 minutes or so is when I have the Seraphs active, which I might not be doing it as efficiently as possible because I hate stopping and doing his Q on the way back to lane just because it's like cast time. I'm like, oh, I could be missing minions. I need to be places. But if I was doing that, I could probably get it down to maybe 14 minutes, 13 minutes maybe if I was actively stacking it, but I more passively stack it.
Echo's a cool idea that needs a little bit of work right now.
I still think the items are good. I like the items. I think I like what they did here. I just think the build path for Ludens is not. Yeah.
Well, that, and when you try to sort of add a lot of parity to the mid lane items and everything, and get, you know, add options, but in creating those options, you want them to be very similar in sort of the approach that you have to take to get them. Like, something is always going to come out on top. Like, there was always going to be a best item at the end of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think if they change the blasting one to the 815 move speed and just give it its move speed back, I think that'd be a good change.
So, but I mean, when we talk about the big pieces here, we've obviously got Haunting Guys and Leandri's Torment. I know you had previously talked about potentially picking up Lost Chapter, and then I think you said Lost Chapter, Haunting Guys, or no, you didn't. No, you said Haunting Guys and Oblivion Orb, right?
Yeah, I was thinking you finish your. This is only if you're like really far ahead and just want to really shit on your opponent. Like, you finish your Lost Chapter item, you rush the Haunting Guys, then you rush the Oblivion Orb, and that's going to give you so much damage. But in practice, that's not really that great.
Well, you were talking about the approach I was discussing earlier, where you focus on low tier items that'll give you like an immediate real big power spike once you get them, but you're quickly going to fall off because you're not getting the bigger items.
Haunting Guys, I think Leandri's Torment is much more popular than Morello. I have not seen a lot of Morellos. It's really only if they have someone who requires the Grievous Wounds that I'm seeing people pick it up.
Right.
Just because the damage amp on Leandry's is really nice. It's really good. So really, it's been mostly Leandry's second. Pretty much everyone. That's what everyone's building.
I think that's fine. I think like having it there for as a a way to deal with the Dr. Mundos and the Vlads and that type of champion. Like I think that's fine. It doesn't. Things with Grievous Wounds don't need to be items that get picked up all the time. If they're getting bought every single game, they're way too good to begin with.
Right.
Agreed.
I did play some Vagar with Spellbinder, and I know on the patch 8.4 episode, I was a little down on Spellbinder, thinking it wasn't going to stack quickly enough, and I did.
Stacks fast, doesn't it?
It does stack fast. There are definitely points where I wish it would stack a little faster, but it's at that good spot where it doesn't feel bad to have. And of course, you could always want it to be better, so I can't take points or dog on it for that aspect of it, but. I really, really like Spellbinder. I really like the fact that I get the additional 10% movement speed on it, and I can have 50 AP, let's say, on demand, right? Like, I can have 50 to 100 AP on demand just about every team fight. And especially if I let the team fight go, I can pop it later just to... Like, with Vagar, I pop that and pop his ultimate. The guy's dead. You're not stopping that extra 100 AP that's coming through.
Yeah. My build on Vagar has pretty much just been Seraph's... Deathcap, Spellbinder, and then you have 1,000 AP at like.
Oh, you did Seraphs. I was doing Luden's Echo
Well, I can do
Spellbinder.
Really depends on when I back. If I can get a Lost Chapter, I would go Luden's. If I was forced back early, I would just go Seraphs and say, well, I'm just gonna outscale this guy. But I really like it on Vagar. The extra move speed to get in range to your cage, and then the extra execute damage because his ult scales. I mean, you probably don't need the extra damage because his ultimate just is ridiculous at executing people. But
well, it's more.
I mean, when you see that huge number, when you see the huge number that pops up with the ultimate, I mean, it feels good.
When you touch an ADC and they just blow up in one spell, they're not even rotation. You just touch them with the ultimate and they're gone. Or ultimate Q maybe. Late
game, the W is your most damaging ability overall because it gets down to like under a 3-second cooldown. You're just dropping them everywhere. And if an ADC gets hit with one of those, it's going to be a huge problem for them.
Well, if the ADC gets hit with a cage against Vagar, they should be dead.
Yeah, right. But not even the cage, just the
W.
Primordial. It's not Primordial Burst. I forget what it's called. The one that drops down is
Dark Matter.
Insane. Dark Matter. There we go. If you get hit by that in lane without being stunned, I mean, come on, practice. Should never get hit with that. It's so slow.
So, did we get a chance to play with Twin Shadows at all?
I've purchased it a couple times. But I mean, like it doesn't really feel any better or worse than A, it ever did, or B, than Frost Queens. You don't. Well, no, I was going to say you don't love taking up an item slot with it, but then I remembered if you were getting Frost Queens, you still had your Sightstone and everything, so it's functionally similar there. I like movement speed, and percent movement speed at that. There's between Twin Shadows and Ardent Sensor, you can actually get a lot of like passive movement speed, so that if you're a budget mage type support, you can kind of either get a lot out of boots of swiftness. Like you're going to be getting kind of near boots of mobility speed with your boots of swiftness because of all that passive movement speed, or you can go the sorcerer's shoes route, and so you're actually bumping up your damage a little bit more there. So it's pretty nice in that regard. That's again assuming you can make use out of Ardent Sensor, and so like Brand and Vel'Koz are not going to be buying that item. But Morgana, Karma, they're looking at it.
Okay, I bring all this up because I wanted to shift the topic a little bit from APN, which we more or less gone over like the major changes here, and that's really what you're starting with, and then obviously you have different choices now. But Riot removed Vision in 8.4 by getting rid of Tracker's Knife, and it just probably doesn't matter as much for solo queue, but it definitely matters for pro play, and a lot of what happens in pro play trickles down into solo queue. And so we've been seeing a lot more tanks come back out of the top lane. Of course, Scion's sitting there just because his E is bugged to hell and back, and the fact that he's a super scaling tank. But like if we took Scion out of the picture, suddenly we start seeing the Cho'Gath, Maokai's, etc. slowly creep back in the top lane because everyone starts playing safer, right? So as we see that those changes potentially coming down the pipe from pro play, do we start seeing changes out of other lanes as well? Like
With
people,
the vision?
yeah, thanks to the vision changes, right? It's not so much that the vision's gone, because if you're playing solo queue, it didn't matter. Like a lot of that stuff doesn't matter. I'm just saying more of like the pro players started changing what they're going to be playing because there's a lack of vision. So they're going to start putting more tanks and safer picks out of like the top lane, and that's going to start trickling down in the solo queue.
So to use Twin Shadows almost the way that you're describing it, you almost have to go into the domination tree and get Ingenious Hunter, so that you can kind of just be using it to constantly scout out for vision, because that active item CDR is only available through that rune now, and that ends up making a really big difference. You know, 90-second cooldown doesn't sound like it's that long, but as far as the vision game goes, like that's an eternity. And so when I've gotten it, it's tended to be used more. Like, yeah, I've used it for scouting, of course, but like it tends to be more of like a chasing or a disengage type of tool than I do end up like actually scouting with it. Just because the slow is no joke.
How much is that item CDR? Because Cosmic Insight has 5% item CDR on it. That's out of
it's 10% CDR on the item.
Yeah, and then you it sucks that you can't get the Sightstone. What is the red Sightstone? Because that gave a ton of CDR on active items.
Yeah, combined, like it was nuts. Like, and in theory that would have been a ton of vision before, but they reworked the support items. And I don't know, I just don't feel like a whole lot of junglers aren't going to be looking at this, because ability power is not really a friendly stat for that role on, you know, the majority of the champs that get played out of there. I don't think a lot of mages are going to be looking at this until maybe late game, but in most cases it's just like.
I built the item once, and I felt like I was just opting into doing a support's damage instead of
like you're not getting enough bang
an actual amount of damage.
That item. So like if they really want to create vision opportunities for mid and top laners, then this item needs to be more expensive and be in like the 85 to 100 ability power range. Like, hey, then you've created an interesting, you know, vision type item. But if you're targeting supports with this, like it's fine from a cost standpoint, but it doesn't feel bad to get or anything like that. But you know, you're just sort of giving the job that does vision. You're just having them double down on vision.
Right.
There are a lot of sneaky ways to like there's an abundance of cooldown reduction and also movement speed, but like abundance of cooldown reduction on support itemization that makes whatever the hell that rune is that, you know, gives you CDR upon hitting level 10. Transcendence, yeah. It makes Transcendence actually pretty effective for you as you're going on, just because it's hard to not CDR cap as a support. I think it's difficult for almost everybody else out there, but like it's really hard to not CDR cap on support, and you can get like just a lot of you know, ability power, I guess, out of that role from Transcendence. The counter to that, though, is you're fucking waiting until level 10 to have a rune that's actually doing you any good, and on support that can take a really long time.
I kind of feel like mid lane is in that same boat where you guys have CDR come out of your ass the entire time, because I mean you're getting 20% right off the bat, and for seasons and seasons and seasons, everyone had to like class or, you know, fight for CDR and items and try to figure it out in their places, because I think most mids are only walking out of mid with 10 or 20%. Now you guys get 20% off your first item, right? So I gotta imagine it's pretty easy to get that 40-45% cap.
Well, I mean, I normally go Transcendence and have one of the starting items that give you 20%, and then unless I really need a Banshees or a Hourglass, I just rely on the blue buff to give me 45.
Yeah, so, I was gonna say, actually, isn't it kind of tough if you're
really sacrificing
get that 20% item and everything? Then it's like you either have to go into a defensive route for whatever reason, and so by virtue of that you're having like Banshee's Veil and Zanya's, and that doesn't feel good. And you're gonna get one or the other at some point, but otherwise,
if you don't take Transcendence, it's hard to get to fully capped out, because you're not really ever gonna build Banshees and Hourglass. I feel like if you're doing that, while you will be super safe, your damage is going to be a bit lacking. So you're going to have to take risks and build items that actually do damage at some point. But
Well,
I feel like
you're not really taking celerity or absolute focus if you decide you want to go down the sorcery tree anyway. So transcendence obviously makes sense.
I've never taken absolute focus. I think that
I
don't know who
played
you would take
around
on.
with it a little bit, just because there's so much more healing in bot lane, and they're like it's just kind of a different ebb and flow. I was just wondering if, hey, is this good enough to give me like kind of an AP edge early on and everything, and ultimately just regretted not having celerity. And celerity is really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like celerity also. I mean, I don't think it's as you have to make a conscious effort to cap out your CDR in mid if you're gonna have it capped out. I don't think it's just a gimme that you're gonna be going late game with 45%.
But you're walking a late game at least with 30%, not counting blue.
Yeah, if you
transcendence and all
you should have at least 30%.
Right.
And I've kind of gone away with going what's it called? The one that has hourglass. What tree is that? Inspiration. I've gone away with. I don't really take inspiration secondary unless I'm going to want to build an hourglass, and then I'll take it just for the extra CDR on the hourglass. But
well,
I think
is there any besides someone like Vagar? Are you taking precision at all for coup de grace?
Yeah, I know. I have been going precision. I go presence of mind in coup de grace because presence of mind it gives you all the free mana when you level up. So it's really nice for lane sustain because it's really hard to run out of mana when you have 7 full seconds to cast your abilities every level up, and you're leveling up incredibly often early game.
And of course, this just tickles me pink because I was raving about presence of mind to Adam one day. I'm like, you need to start doing this. But Adam, like the way Adam likes playing is to really push and shove the waves.
Well, I don't know how good it would be bot lane.
It wasn't bad. I played it on Sivir a couple times. I liked it.
I mean, I'm not saying run it on fucking Draven, but
I don't know if I'd like presence of mind. I feel like you would rather have Triumph out of bot lane. I don't know about.
I was playing the Sivir Unsealed push strat where I didn't need Triumph because all we were doing is taking objectives and running around and getting the little skirmishes, and Triumph didn't really change the that much. It was the fact that I could keep up the pressure in bot lane all the time without having to back swap over to teleport and come back to lane. Like I was continually keeping up. I liked it. It wasn't like something.
Yeah, but if you're going Unsealed Spellbook Sivir, you're gonna back anyway early with TP and come back and have full mana again. I feel like if you're going because that rune's only gonna be useful until you finish your Essence Reaver because you're going that item first, aren't you?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know how I feel about that one.
Sorry,
I was raving about it.
It's not the Unsealed Spellbook Sivir push thing isn't as nearly as good as it previously was after the nerf to boots. And of course stopwatch, but you didn't necessarily need boots and stopwatch when they kind of moved everything all around. That strategy took a hit. Not to say it's bad; it's just not as doing as great as it was previously. It does work really well. Things like that do work well because there's still a lot of tanks and enchanters out of bottom lane, and they're really easy to push in because they can't help you push back. But that's really not here or there. I wanted to. I was going to ask you, since I have you, before we jump into maybe a couple listener questions, Vrail, the community seems to think that Mana Flow Band is just wicked overpowered right now. Do you share that thought?
I think it's good. I don't necessarily think it's overpowered. Dom has a bit converted me into the Nullifying Orb meta. I think Nullifying Orb can be good, especially if you're going Presence of Mind. I don't know if you necessarily need Presence of Mind and Mana Flow. So if I'm playing Swain against someone who's real bursty, I'm gonna back and get a tier anyway. I'm not gonna go Presence of Mind because I know I'm gonna build Hourglass, so I still go into the Inspiration tree. But since I know I'm gonna back early and get a tier, I don't feel like I need the extra mana sustain, and I just go Nullified Orb for the extra in combat sustain it'll give you because it blocks damage. I think it's good, but I think you can give Nullifying Orb a good look as well, depending on the matchup. So it's a lot of matchup dependent stuff with the runes.
So for me, I kind of feel like it crowds out the other two. But part of that is because I feel like bot lane doesn't recall as often as the other lanes do. I feel like you end up hanging out in bot lane for a really, really long time. And frankly, that's probably part of the reason why it always ends up being such a dog pile bot lane is because like we haven't gone back, and so we're not sitting on meaningful items. And so a jungler or a mid laner or top of teleport, like you can come down there and just fucking crush a duo lane if they haven't recalled.
Yeah, I don't know how many times I've gone like before. I would have like Lost Chapter boots and a Dark Seal, and I'm like, oh, I guess I'll roam bot. And then the bot laner's sitting there with like 70% health and a Doran's blade. I'm like, what are you doing, man? Come on, get some items. You just one shot them.
It's weird how quickly you cede lane control if you recall at the wrong time, and
ADs really want to greed for the BF sword on the first back.
There's that,
like
and there's also kind of like it's just a game of chicken going on. You're kind of daring your opponent to recall before you. So like you have to recall at a really specific point with regard to the lane position. Otherwise, you end up really hamstringing yourself later on. But it's not easy to just say, okay, well, I want the lane to be right here, so I'm gonna put it right here and then recall and everything is fine. It's like, no, you have to work really hard because your opponent's trying to do the same damn thing. And so I love Mana Flow Ban because it feels like laning phase lasts for fucking ever, and it helps me do the thing. It helps me do my job. Maybe Mana Flow Ban is part of the problem if we really think about it. Like how often do you consider recalling because the support is out of mana, Adam?
Is that a thing that an ADC would ever consider?
Yeah,
that's what I'm asking.
I don't think that's something that even crosses an ADC mind.
I don't really
just be like, yeah, you can back. I'll stay. I need 500 gold and I have 40% health. I can make it.
See, that's where bottom lane. It's like every other lane. It depends where the wave is sitting at. The wave's sitting near their tower, and my support can't stay. Then I have to back with my support because there's no reason for me to stand down there for 20 minutes and not be able to poke and get anything. So I need my support's damage or whatever it is to help me.
You just need their presence.
Yeah.
And if your opponent sees that the support doesn't have mana, well, they're gonna fucking press on you.
Right, and then it's wasted for me to stand down there. So I have to, if my support goes back, more times than not, I have to go back with my support. But support mana, you try to keep it in mind because obviously you want to be able to do some trades and whatnot. But there's not a lot of times where like I'm going, all right, well, shit, my support. Listen, dude, you've got 10% mana. It's time for us to go back right now because we need to get you that mana. I know that I'm only sitting on 1,100 gold, but it's okay because you need mana. That type of thing. Like I'm so focused on 1350, 1350, 1350 that.
So knowing that my AD carry is not going to give a shit about my needs, I kind of have to take care of myself. And as much as I would like to take Ultimate Hat or Nullifying Orb for that matter and everything, it's sort of just like I gotta go with Mana Flow Ban because that's going to allow me to keep doing my job.
Right. Yeah. Sorry. We need that 1350.
It's okay.
I mean, you can always just say, I'm backing, don't die. And if they die, it's on them, whatever.
Oh, man. I would love it if it was that simple, but they always...
When I play support, that's what I say. I say, hey, I got to back. Play like a bitch or back with me.
They always fucking that. You and I also have different play styles in that regard.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, you have to... I mean, that gift's been around forever, but that deer, you take it out of the pool, and then it runs right back into the pool after you set it down. That is 100% AD carries in the bottom lane. Where if you're going to go off and ward, that AD carry is like, ooh, I'm going to go and drop this trap now. It's 100% absolutely true. That gift is totally bottom lane, and it always has been. So telling somebody that you're going to walk away and you're going to go back because you need something as a support, it makes you, I don't want to make you a bad support, but it doesn't make you a good support.
I mean, I will never forget the game.
No, when I actually do play a lot of Bard, and my friends hate it when I support because as soon as we get behind, I just like, all right, buddy, you're on your own. And I just go top, I go mid. I don't stay in the lane.
I should do that more.
My friends hate playing AD for me, which, I mean, whatever.
I do that a lot too. If I play support, my AD carry's doing shit, I'm like, see ya.
I mean, especially if you're playing like someone like Bard, whose roams can be so impactful. You can win a losing game just by going around and killing other lanes.
Bard's kind of like an extreme case there, just because his mobility is so.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like you can do the same thing
it's all about traveling, though. I mean, but like
Leona,
is gonna get
Alistar.
There. Yeah, you can
with Moby boots. I feel like you can do a similar thing.
Yeah, but other stuff has gone on and everything, and it's probably taking you a while to get your Moby boot.
No, I normally get Moby boots pretty early when I play Bard.
Oh, I do too, but I get Moby boots early on pretty much everybody. It's like my second item.
I mean, if you're playing like Soraka, don't run to a different lane.
Yeah.
You're just be like, hey, I'll stand here, take you XP, and heal you a bit. That's not the type of what that champion does. But I feel like if you're playing an engaged support or someone like Bard, I think
I'm getting better at sort of just feeling out when laning phase is ending irrespective of how my lane is going. Like, obviously, it's one thing if you're really behind and your tower drops, then I'm just like, fuck it, I'm going somewhere else. But if like things are really just dragging on bot lane, I've been working really hard to sort of like leave that radius and just sort of say, hey, look, I don't care if the AD carry is a random person or if it's Adam. It's like, I'm going to go and do other things elsewhere because this is not an efficient use of my time.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks for the AD carry. If you're already losing, it sucks enough losing, and then if your support kind of abandons you, it's like, oh, I'm gonna be worthless this game. Which, I mean, that might be the case, but as long as the support's like, I got to do something to win this game. We're not gonna do it through bot, and then they have to take an active approach to trying to turn things around, which sucks for the ADC because it might lead to them dying a few more times. But
if you're already losing, like, it doesn't do any good to keep trying, like, doubling down on something that is already going poorly.
Yeah, exactly.
You're better off trying to go and influencing the mid lane that's been neutral, or like going top where your top is like building just a little bit of a lead, and just a shield would be the difference between like a kill and a recall and a teleport or something.
Yes.
All I hear in this whole conversation is someone's going to listen to this podcast and go, well, the Trinity Force podcast told me I could do this and it would be okay. And then we're going to be like, fuck, that's not what we said. Oh, my God.
It's tough. Like, you really have to think about what you're doing.
Think about this game.
The ADC, if you're roaming, I mean, I always tell my ADC, because I queue mid support, so I get support a fair bit. I always tell my ADC, I'm doing this, and then I expect you to play around what I'm going to do. So, I mean, if they don't listen, I mean, that sucks, but I always tell them what I'm going to do before I go and do it. So they're not like, well, why are you top? I was like, well, I told you 30 seconds ago I was going top, so play around it. Which sounds a bit harsh, but
communicate anymore. I just try to like keep an eye on the map, and if there's a fight I see breaking out, I'm like, I'm gonna see if I can make my way up there. We're not like, there's nothing meaningful happening down here and everything, and it's always like fucking Janna and Nami that that you run into, and so. Like, yeah, those are champions that can do a lot of stuff and everything, but like the AD carry is gonna die if you're up against like Alistar and Leona and any other AD carry. Like, AD carry is gonna die if the support roams. But up against a bunch of the enchanters, it's like, no, the AD carry should be able to take care of themselves and farm a little bit under tower.
I think the best time to roam as a support is when you both back the first time, so you get Moby boots.
Do that
as your AD's walking back to bot lane, you walk mid or you walk top.
I was gonna say that earlier. So that was I'm never gonna forget that game because I was with some random AD carry and I was playing with Chira, and we got kills bot lane. We recalled, everything was great, and I just look at mid and Chira is doing his thing, but I'm like, I bet if I go up there, we can get a kill. So I go up there, we get a kill, and then the AD carry dies and literally writes, "Where's my support?" And thank God I was playing with Chira and everything, because he suffers none of that nonsense. And so he's always really, really quick to
up in arms
well, he just in general quick to get up in arms. But so he was in mid getting a kill, and like with me, what the fuck were you doing? And the AD's just like, oh, I wasn't even paying attention. I just assumed he was right there. And like that's kind of the problem. And I'm willing to bet that that's most of our listeners' experience.
Well, that's what I mean. If you click top, you're not going to get there instantaneously. So send a little message.
Yeah.
Not a keyboard. I mean, you're not going to get there quick enough where you can't say, "I'm going top. Be careful."
Yeah, and that's fair. At the same time, it's sort of like you can look at your surroundings and see, oh, the support's not here, so I need to play.
Have you played ranked before? Come on, no one looks at their surroundings. You got to tell them exactly what you're doing. Communication is key.
Well, Dom, I have a question for you.
What's that?
Without giving away your location, do you happen to live near a police station?
No, but I do live just off of an emergency route, so
okay.
It's
at least once a week. They were happening behind you when you were talking. There are some sort of lights that are always going behind you, and that's why I was curious if you happen to live near something. I know it's not
I live near a fire station. And I guess I know I don't know where the nearest hospital is. I should probably know that, but yeah, I don't know where the nearest hospital is. I kind of live near a police station now that I think about it.
I was thinking about that today. We were driving and I saw an urgent care, and I made a mental note of where that urgent care is at because it's near the house. I figured, well, if a kid ever gets its arm cut off or something, I should probably know where the ER is at. But hey, if they get something stuck in them, I can take them over there. Like they jam their finger. I don't know. I don't know. That this is called me trying to be a dad, where I look at their fingers looking sideways. I go, run some water on it. You'll be all right. Too cheap. Take the kids to the doctor. All right, let's talk about some listener questions.
What are kids?
You'll find out one day. All right. Well, Mouche. How do you say it? How do you say this?
I think Mousse.
Mousse. I'll do it. I'm working on dying less after listening to the previous podcast. I play Kayn mainly because his Shadow Assassin form is great for picking off carries, but it's hard to carry if I'm not ahead or if I'm not darkened. Do you guys have any tips for carrying on Kayn?
If he is darkened. I don't know what tripped you up about that. That was very clearly written out.
Shadow Assassin, Kayn's an assassin, so if assassins get behind, it's going to suck. That's just kind of the play style.
I know what tripped
You
me
say
up.
the same thing about
thinking-
Kha'Zix.
Hold on, I know what tripped me up, but it was because I was reading it as if Darken was one of the two forms rather than the specific style of form. That's what I got tripped up at. Does it make sense? Glad. Good. It makes sense.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. I think you have a better chance. Like if you're playing solo queue and you're playing Kayn, you're going to have more success playing the red Kayn over the blue Kayn. While blue Kayn does quite a bit of damage, it can pop squishies. Red Kayn does just that, if not better than the blue Kayn does because of all the extra sustain that he has through his kit. Plus the ultimate, the augmentation on the ultimate is better than the blue Kayn version of it. So, and it's a lot easier to get there faster because there's generally speaking more melee characters in the game than there are range characters that are like they're easier to gank, or at least even the melees are just easier to gank for you. So you're going to be able to potentially transform more quickly. But anytime I've ever seen a successful Kayn, it's always been red because he gets to a point where he's doing enough damage and he's unkillable that he wins through attrition.
I disagree. I think the Kayn that's gonna the Kayn form that's gonna be successful is dictated by the types of opponents that you have and everything. Like that, I lose games because somebody goes blue Kayn when they should have gone red because we needed something that could deal with the bruisers a little bit better. And I've lost plenty of games because the person went red when they should have gone blue because hey, we can't kill all their damage fast enough because you're red Kayn.
I don't think he gets enough damage in this kit between the difference.
You can go red Kayn and build like your blue Kayn, and that you're still surprisingly tanky and you do a lot of damage. And if you ult someone, you come out full health. That's actually a fun thing you might want to test out.
That's true. Yeah.
Go red, play like you're blue.
Yeah, you just build as if you were blue Kayn, but you're red Kayn, so you have really good sustain and you're really hard to 1v1.
Right.
But I mean, Assassin Kayn, it's just if you're behind on Assassin, you're going to be a little bit worthless. That's just kind of how playing an Assassin goes.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about assassins is that you either kill them or you die, and so by virtue of that, you're kind of
yeah, I don't think
going
that's
to have a higher death count. You're going to have a higher death count in a given game.
Yeah, I'm just kind of looking at it from the point of view, and I probably should have said this before I started talking about it, is that a lot of games, Todd complains about it a lot. He'll pick Yi or something out of top lane, and then someone will pick up another assassin out of jungle, so then there is no engage and whatnot. And that's the nice thing about Kayn is that you can go, assassin, or you can go red Kayn. But I like all the extra CC and whatnot that he has in his kit, and kind of what Vrail said. He does do quite a bit of damage if you build him. I want to say that Black Cleaver is one of the not necessarily a rush, but one of the items that you'll be building on him. Yeah, it's.
Black I mean, you can just go lethality on red Kayn, and
Black Cleaver Dustblade Warrior.
Dustblade's broken, so
that's true. Plus, you can E out and come back in and get the damage proc again if you need it. I'm kind of wondering if you go into them with your ultimate, does that count as a Dustblade proc, like coming back out? I want to say it does.
I think it does,
but
not positive.
By that point, it should be on cooldown, just because you'll have been outside of vision.
No, when you go in them, you're out of vision. Technically, I think.
I know,
so
but
when you come back out,
but it still has a cooldown on it, doesn't it?
No, every time you go out of vision, you can get it back.
Oh, really?
That's why, because like Kha'Zix can proc it twice. And
that's ridiculous. I thought it had a cooldown on it, so it's even more ridiculous than I thought.
I mean, the cooldown is how quickly you can go out of vision for a second. So it has a second cooldown at the least amount.
Right.
The least amount of time is a second.
Right. But yeah, so that's just it. Kayn and Kha'Zix and Vayne technically.
yeah. Anybody can use it. Anybody that can use it, just moving around, does really well with it. I kind of feel like that Kayn, you know, he does really well with electrocute, and he's kind of one of those champions where he does really well, but I think he is always going to be on the. He's not always, but right now he's going to be on that cusp of being really good because champions like Volibear, Sejuani, and some of the other tanky champions are just better than he is because he has to wait too long to get that tanky point, and by the time he gets there, the enemies are already tanking and doing damage, right? Because he's got to go ahead and go Warrior first. He's not going into Cinderhulk, and then he has to build in some kind of offensive item like Dustblade or Black Cleaver, and then he gets to build into his tanky items. Meanwhile, Sejuani is just building straight tank and doing a fuckload of damage. So,
Yeah, I don't think he's good into all comps, but I think you can still have success with him.
oh yeah,
I think if you're behind, you should just. It might suck. Say you're getting your transformation at like 14 minutes, you're having a really bad game, and then you have to wait another 4 minutes just to be able to go into red form. It's probably still going to be more successful than just going into blue form if you're already behind. I would imagine, which it might feel really bad to do that, but if you want to win,
I think
I know
transform.
not getting.
I mean, if your team needs red, but you're blue, I think you just go ahead and transform and try to make the best of the situation. And of course, I think these conversations are just too dependent on the enemy team comp and your team comp and the game is going
right.
On.
Like
really hard to say.
Going into blue is fine if they're a bunch of assassins and mages and that type of shit, but like if you're behind and you're going into blue and now you're also running into Cho'Gath and Sejuani, it's like, okay, I mean, I agree with Adam's argument, but it's like, fuck, that's going to be a real uphill battle.
I mean, if you're red Kane and kind of tanky, you can
right, but if you're blue Kane,
you can do nothing to them. You can't.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But we're in this situation we're describing. It's also like blue Kane is what you were going for, and so you get to that transformation point, but you're already behind. And now it's like, well,
yeah, what do I do? Well, let's read the next question. Oh no, Alpha writes in, since making it to Bronze 4, I have lost about 75% of my games for the same reasons. Trolls. I'm not joking. Sorry, trolls. I'm not joking. I will pay you to watch all of them if you think I'm making this up. Between a brand that literally just stood under the tower the entire game and a Nivea and Trundle duo using their terrain abilities to cancel recalls or keeping my other two teammates from escaping trades, and a top laner who explicitly said he was trolling because it's fun, I'm at wit's end and discouraged from playing altogether. If I'm going to encounter trolls in the majority of my games, what is the point of playing ranked? How can my teammates and I overcome a feeding or toxic troll to climb? You just, honestly, Alpha, you just have to put in the games. That's what it is. Like, it feels really bad right now, and you could have wrote to us after you had a weekend where you played 6 games and out of 3 of them you had 3 bad players and 3 you didn't, but you're not telling us about those other 3 games that you played and how those went out, right? Like, those, you just have to put in the games if you really want to climb. If I'm just using the 6 because it's easy. If you only played 6 games in the weekend and you went 50%, you're not going to climb, obviously. But like, that's not enough games to put in over the course of a weekend, right? You're not falling, you're not climbing, but that's not enough games put in over a weekend if you're seriously considering trying to climb. You're putting in, 5 to 10 games a day to try to like seriously climb if that's what you're in it for. So you just need to play the games and keep a level head and realize that trolls happen and we can overcome them by playing.
You definitely need to be mindful of, I guess, your games. If you lose 2 and they were both because of trolls, just say, you know what? No, I'm done. I'm done for the day. Like, I'm just taking a break. The trolls are out in force tonight, so I'm getting out of there, and I'll come back tomorrow and try a few more. Maybe pay attention to the time of day or day of the week that you're playing. It's one thing if you have a pretty limited schedule, but if you do most of your playing on like Saturday night or something like that, see if you can adjust and play Sunday morning or Saturday morning or something, and maybe there'll be fewer trolls for you then. I recall in this email you wondering specifically why there were more trolls in Bronze 4 than there were in Bronze 5, and I don't honestly have an answer for you. But just maybe toying around with where you're playing might help as you then start to climb. And the other thing is that, like, you're in Bronze 4, you're going to be matched up with people in Bronze 5, in Bronze 3, in Bronze 2, in Bronze 1, maybe Silver and everything.
Yeah, he's got a Silver 5 on his team and stuff. His MMR is a little higher than...
Yeah, like, so your MMR is, if you have a Silver 5, well, either that person's MMR is lower, or he's doing better, you're gonna... Like, Bronze 4 is where you are right now, and yes, that does mean there are a few more rungs for you to climb, but you're going to be playing with the full suite of Bronze.
Right. Yeah, there's not enough people sitting down in Bronze 5 and Bronze 4 for you just to be stuck with those people.
I mean, trolls suck, but it should even out if you play a large enough volume of games, which is what Adam was getting at.
Right.
So, I mean, it's terrible in the moment. It's never fun having someone who's actively trying to lose. But you kind of just have to say, well, I mean, this person is, he's not a good person. Just mute him, try and do your best that game, and then just move on. It sucks, but that's kind of what you have to do.
I recall a stretch where just like it felt like once a day, I would just get a team with somebody who would disconnect either because they were rage quitting or because like they would have internet issues or something and they would keep trying to play through it. But like, so we couldn't remake because they would be there. But just like all that stuff. And it just felt like that went on for a few weeks. And eventually like, yeah, I got really salty about it because that's frustrating. But eventually this shit stops happening and you kind of like get the games you expect, not the games that are really the outliers.
Yep. Good luck, Alpha. Let us know how the climb's going over the season. We'll try to help you as much as we can. Don't forget we have Patreon out there if you want help. We're definitely here to help you as much as we can. And Battle Arena on Thursdays if you want to join and get some free, people talking about how you're playing and whatnot. Snow Spider 29 writes in, when counter jungling, when should you leave parts of the camp up versus fully clearing it?
I recall Beaver having some strong opinions on this. We answered it in the last episode. He always goes in and he always takes it because he does it for two reasons. First, he wants it to be up when he goes back in again. Like he wants to know when that's going to be happening, and he wants everything to be there. He doesn't want to be waiting around for the enemy jungler to take that. And the second is like he's putting in the effort to make that money. So he's going to take all of it and not like almost all of it.
He's a hardworking bear.
I think the rule of thumb he was kind of going with was if you think you're going to come back for it, take it all. If you think you won't come back for it, it's really up to you if you want the extra gold, or you can leave it up just to tilt the enemy jungler.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, I think we're past the point where I don't think I know we're past the point where leaving a camp up is worth it at any point. It used to be that those spawn timers were a lot longer on jungle camp, so it was a lot more detrimental just to leave a camp up so the enemy couldn't go back. But just get all that gold that you can. You're leaving free gold on the board. Who cares if it comes back up for the enemy? If you didn't go over there and take it, they were going to take it. They're going to take it themselves. So just get your free gold and get out. You are potentially inconveniencing them. So really the camps you're trying to take obviously are the larger ones that take longer to spawn or the ones that are faster to take. But what is it? You're only really taking raptors, right? Because there's not really other camps you can get back in there and easily take other than blue or red. So, yeah, take raptors. Take them all. Bulk 1211 writes in, as the jungle / support main in low MMR, it's difficult to consistently win and climb no matter how well I do. Play mostly Warwick and Leona. Is there someone else I should be playing? Also just curious, if you guys played 5 to 10 games in bronze, do you think you'd win all of them?
I think Beaver would say Warwick is a good jungler for like bronze and silver and stuff
Warwick
like that.
is like the winningest jungler right now. He's phenomenal.
And I think Leona's good too, just because you can all in and play super aggressive in lane. But I don't think there's really anything wrong with those picks.
You can't undervalue any champ that has really good engage. And Warwick has good engage. His is a little bit trickier. And so if you find you're missing your ult a lot, or you're not like hitting Q as often, or not Q, was it the fear?
E.
Maybe that's part of the problem. And so look at somebody like Sejuani or Volibear, or Mumu for that matter. I mean, like,
I love Mumu.
Didn't you claw your way out of some low MMR just playing a Mumu?
At some point, yeah.
Did I?
Somewhere. I know I did. I was at somewhere. I played Annie, Kindred, Amumu, Malphite, Jhin. Those were my climb to diamond.
Yeah, I played a Mumu. That's how I got out of bronze for the first time. Is playing a Mumu and a few other champions. I don't remember them off the top of my head. But
Mumu was my like go-to jungler for the longest time when back before we could call rolls out. But if I got stuck jungling, it's like, okay, I'm playing Mummy because at least I know I can press R and things are gonna die. So
yeah, keep playing.
And he's a low MMR terror.
I'm looking at bulk bronze 4, 58 LP, 64% win rate over 11 games with Warwick, 60% win rate with Leona. Over 10
you
games
just need to
played.
play more games and you'll climb no problem.
Yeah, he's got 70-ish games played, 65 games played. So yeah, just keep playing games. Stick with those two champions. Just do that. Just go.
Have confidence in you. Just stick to the champs you're good at.
You can stick with Leona too. I mean, like the only thing I would say is that if you find you're running into a lot of like Jenna or Nami or that champion, and either you or your your 80 carries, and I know you have to kind of just have a general feel for it, but if you feel like your duo mates don't handle the enchanters very well, then it would behoove you to learn one of them. So like if it feels like you run into predominantly Janna, then just learn Nami so that that's available. And so because if you know your teammate can't play against Janna very well, then you need to have sort of a response of doing something similar there.
I mean, I think if your only goal is to climb, I wouldn't play support in bronze. I think you should just stick to jungle as much as possible. It's going to be a lot easier. You have a lot more control over the game, especially when it can get a little hectic. So I think if you stick to jungler and play Warwick, maybe add someone like a Mumu if you need AP or something like that, I think you'll have success there. But I think playing support is a dangerous game, especially in bronze.
Yeah, it's a trap. If you're gonna play support in bronze, play something that just does lots of damage.
Yeah, like to your question there, if we played 5 to 10 games in bronze, do you think we would win all of them? Like, I would really have to change my champion pool in order to do that. I can maybe get away with it on Morgana, but realistically, I'm looking at like just fuck 'em up champions. And like I'm just like trying to be as selfish as I possibly can be in those situations, which is really counter to the way I play this game.
I have played in bronze, and I have played 10 games. I think I ended up going 80%-ish playing, and so I got 8 out of 10. And I played Pantheon, and I only played Pantheon mid, and all I did was just roam the entire time and just jump around the map and just be an idiot, right? And I inserted my will everywhere that I could. And yeah, so, I mean, I'm not trying to sit here and toot horns. I don't think any of us are when we say that, but it's just more of I think we all have an understanding, at least enough to be able to carry more games out of that elo. Hell, I dug myself out of gold pretty quickly. You know what I mean? Like, it's not hard when you have an understanding how to move around the map. The harder part becomes playing in, like, the Platinum Diamond is just being that little bit better than your opponent.
So. Yeah. I mean, I was placed bronze 2 last season, and I made a conscious effort to get better. So, I mean, I've been in bronze, so I know the struggles, and it can be a little frustrating, especially when people are trolling. But I'm not trying to say I'm the best player, but I did manage to get diamond, so I feel like you just have to...
committed to learning what you were doing wrong.
Yeah, you have to take an active approach to. I wasn't worried about winning. I was worried about getting better. That was the biggest change I made in how I played, and it really makes a astronomical difference in how quickly you can climb. If the wins and losses start to mean less, and you're just trying to figure out what you did wrong. Like maybe you went 10-2 and 10, and you still lost. Well, you could have done something better. You did something wrong in that game that could have led to a win. So you just have to take an active approach of trying to get better rather than trying to win all your games. You should still try to win. Now, don't get me wrong, but every game has to be a learning experience. That was the single most important thing for me to climbing.
Well, I remember climbing when I actually had time to climb. I didn't even look at the numbers. I wasn't looking at win, losses, LP. I was just playing the game. The next thing I know, I went, oh, shit, I'm in my promos. Or, oh, shit, here I am in this tier. I just won promos. I didn't even know I was in promos. I was just playing through it and just playing and learning and trying to learn every matchup that I could. And I stuck to those couple champions. So the same thing here for anybody else. All these questions here with these bronze guys. You are better than what your rank is showing. I guarantee it. But you have to apply yourself to get to that point.
I think you are what your rank is. That's another problem I have.
I'm not saying that you aren't what your rank is. My point is that you are better than what your rank is, but you need to apply yourself to get there. You right now are bronze 4 because, or you could say better, you can be that.
Yeah, I think everyone has the potential to be better than what rank they are.
Right.
Saying you are is just kind of like, yeah, I don't know.
Trying to instill some confidence. All right, you are. I swear.
Everyone has the potential to be better than their rank.
We've all seen that video of the Scion, or I can't remember, but like the dude's in total denial. Like he's just getting worked over and over, and his friend is like, "You gotta stop. Why are you doing this? Because you died. Like what you did led to your death." And the guy's like, "No, it didn't. No, I didn't. I didn't die." Or no, he didn't do anything to me. It's like he killed you. It's like, no, he didn't. And the dude's just in total denial about everything, going back and forth. And it's a hilarious video to watch, but like there are so many people out there that are just in total utter denial about things that are going on, and like you have to get over that. Like you have to kind of get over yourself in that regard.
Yep. Yep. That's our yep. Do it. You guys got this. You have the power. It is inside you the entire time. I believe in every single one of you. Yeah, I think it peters out there. I think that's where we end it for this week. That's episode 514, right? We made it through. We did some listener questions. We had some good discussion. We're gonna all upload our audio right away, so this one doesn't get lost again.
I'm not gonna lose anything.
I'll do the best I can.
And Dom, are you?
I'm normally the first one to have audio in there. I can't believe I forgot.
You're just too worked up. You just want to play some video games.
I do. I was really excited to play video games.
Are you, Dom? Are you out all next week?
Probably on Monday. Probably not on, no, because I think Laura works on Wednesday. So,
all right.
If she doesn't work, then yeah, I probably am out on Wednesday. If she does work, I'll probably be here.
All right. Cool. Then we'll leave it at that, guys. Thank you so much for listening to the Trinity Force podcast. That's episode number 515. 15? Is that what we are at?
Are we counting last week?
No, we ain't. I mean, 514 got pushed out last week because that was Patreon episode. So this is 515. Last week doesn't count. If the episode didn't make it to the website, it doesn't count.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how that works. Episode 515 of the podcast is in the books, guys. We will see you all on Wednesday for patch 8.5. Have a good night. Peace.
Later,
dogs.